everybody. I'm glad the tent is full of people. Before we start the session officially, I want to say a few words because yesterday the sad news reached us that the visual artist and illustrator Michael Thompson, aka Freestyly, Artists Without Borders, passed away. His work was liberating in many aspects and was closely connected to the reggae liberty. He also designed, for example, among a million other things, the Reggae University logo you see behind us. And we would really love to dedicate the session to Michael Thompson. Yes, it's kind of hard to switch sometimes, but people who are doing the news have to do this all the time, I guess. But today we have the session which is called Freedom Sounds, Reggae as a Space of Rebellion and Resistance. I guess that's why a lot of us love the music so much. I'm going to introduce the panel, as always. On the very right, you have David Katz, writer and author from London, who coordinates the session together with Fyah, the Italian journalist and radio moderator, and Pete Lilly and Alan Köhlings. We are both from Rhythm Magazine. And of course, we have wonderful guests here, which I want to introduce to you shortly. In, I guess, quite the middle of the panel, with the hat on, we have Kabaka Pyramid, who is a vanguard. Yeah, give him a round of applause. Kabaka Pyramid is a vanguard of the New Roots movement. He's a lyricist, rapper, DJ, singer, and a freedom fighter in his own right who questions the powers that be. His most recent release is a mixtape called Accurate in collaboration with Major Laser's Fyah. You should definitely check this out. And then next to me, you have Koro Fyah, the poet turned singer, who is also part of Kabaka's Babble Rock camp. He's about to release his EP, Ice Red, and is currently on the road with Kabaka and the Babble Rockers. Then in the middle between, yes, also a round of applause, please. And between Koro and Kabaka, we have Runkus. Actually, Runkus and the old school band, but it would have been too many people having them also on the panel, but I want to mention this. And he incorporates musical genres like soul, jazz, blues, as well as hip-hop into his reggae oeuvre. And he's the son of the Rasta DJ Determine and the son of Paula Francis, who's also here, because I want to have mentioned his mom too. And he's currently on the road with the old school band, and his EP Move In was released earlier this year. And next to Kabaka, we have iNation, who is a traveling bookseller with a focus on Black and Afrocentric literature. He's also a philosopher, social critic, Rasta activist, and reggae revivalist, as well as the organizer of the wonderful weekly Roots session called Inner City Dub in West Kingston. You can find his stall next to the Reggae University. And next to iNation, we have Dr. Dennis Howard from UWI, the University of the West Indies, who has a PhD in cultural studies and ethnomusicology. He is multifaceted and has worked as a journalist, producer, artist manager, publicist, and sound system DJ, so he knows it all. He has produced 2 books, Ranting from Inside the Dancehall, as well as the Creative Echo Chamber, Contemporary Music Production in Jamaica, which has been released recently. You can find his books outside of iNation's stall, as well as also, I want to mention this, Carolyn Cooper's essay collection, Global Reggae, where the cover was also designed by Michael Thompson. As we all know, this year's motto for the Rototom Sunsplash has been Reggae for Freedom. And I would like to put the first two questions, the first question to the two persons, our nation and Dennis Howard. In how far would you say does reggae have a liberating force? Maybe we can start with the both of you, either Dennis or our nation, who wants to take on the word.
Yeah, blessed love. Give thanks for being here. You know, give thanks to Rototom and Reggae University. You know. Yeah. The question: how far?
Is reggae a liberating force, in your opinion?
Well, it's very potent, a liberating force, you know, and even the gathering here speak to that, you know, because I don't anyone here feel in bondage today. We all feel free, or feel like I want to express ourselves, you know. So that is the power of reggae. Reggae does have that thing that no other music don't have. You know, it stand out against any other music because it comes from Rastafari. And because it comes from Rastafari, it's a music with a mission. It's not a music for entertainment or merriment. You know, it's a music with a purpose, you know, and it's that purpose is to free up mankind from all the illusionment that Western civilization has encompassed humanity in, you know. So reggae is really a liberating force for one and all, you know, as the gathering at Rototom speak to that, you know.
Greetings again, everyone. Well, as far as the question goes, reggae as a liberating force, there is no music without a kind of liberation to it. And reggae personifies this liberation movement because apart from being liberating, because you can have another genre that doesn't have the message of reggae, but in some sense, you feel liberated if you're inspired by it. But the difference with reggae is that it is one of the few genres in popular music that has a way of liberating people to a different level of consciousness. So you become conscious within yourself, you become conscious about the world, and because it's coming from a black perspective, it is also conscious about the black life, the black reality, the black consciousness within a global context. And so for working class people and people all over the world, especially black people, it is really a serious force to be associated with.
And I would like to put the next question actually to all of the artists, to Kabaka, Koro, and to Runkus. And maybe you can tell us a bit about your understanding of freedom and how it comes across or is reflected in your music. I do not know who wants to start, but it would be a question for all of you.
That's it.
You might have to switch it
on. Yes. Blessed love, Reggae University. Blessed love and give thanks. Music to I, especially, let me address music first, because you cannot say reggae without music. It's reggae music, is dancehall music, is hip-hop music. All of this coming from one thing. And I don't know if people realize, but we ourselves, we are music, you know, and being played at the same time through our life. So reggae is also a way of life to all of us here. We grow up hearing different kinds of music, but the one that we're in the root. In Jamaica, we're going to hear reggae. We're reggae without even trying to be. You know what I mean? Because the first thing we connect to is Rastafari and reggae music. So with I message, sometimes people divide what it's about. You see, all of the music them come together. Reggae was once calypso before, mento before, and ska before, and they're all family. You know what I mean? But this one come out, this one stand out, to especially I the most, because it helped me to rebel against, I mean, if you give me freedom, you know what I mean? At one point we used to think that we have to do what society wants us to do. We have to be the next thing that is on the radio. So if a dancehall song come out and it talking about water, we must sing a next version of that. Reggae made me realize that, but water is nice, but there's also leaves here. There's also the birds in the sky. Sing how you feel and feel what you mean. You know what I mean? This is what reggae is. Be whatever you want to be, but also you have to make sure you say, because this is what rebellion is, you know. Then rebellion is being what? You don't listen to what them say. This is what reggae do. In the midst of all that kind of music, the hip hop, the dance, all the this, the that, we combine every sound to this heartbeat. This can fit on every single thing throughout life. And this is why reggae music connect the heart so much. Because it's just heartbeat, same way. Bless.
Yeah, give thanks, greetings, one and all, you know. You know, Runkus, the thing about it is that in you realizing that reggae music has so many different avenues open, that is what creates the freedom. You know, and that is why reggae music creates that, you know, the essence of it is freedom for me. And when we say freedom, you know, I did a press conference yesterday after the show, and the question was asked about freedom, and I couldn't get into a lot of the detail of how I felt in a short space of time. But the thing about it is, yeah, the thing about it is, we are all in bondage in some way. We're all slaves to something. You know, when I was young, I was a slave to having to cut my hair. You know, I was a slave to having to comb my hair, to dress a certain way to go to school. You know, I would get detention and demerit if my hair got too long. You know, and I used to have to wear those do-rags and sleep with them overnight and pat it down to go to school, you know what I mean? And freedom is, you know, when I felt free was in the summer, when I could grow my hair and cane roll my hair and do whatever I want to do. And this is a metaphor for a lot of different aspects of freedom and bondage. Because at the end of the day, we can be slaves to something externally or internally. A lot of what I mentioned a while ago was being a slave to something externally. But what I have found in my studies of spirituality, and I have, my journey began with Rastafari. And, you know, it has branched out in terms of my knowledge base towards many different cultures. You know, yoga, you know, Buddhism, Kemetic science, you know what I mean? And what it has shown me is that the true freedom is freedom from the inner bondage within yourself. Because in reality, we are not slaves to anything external. That is all an illusion. Because physical reality is not the ultimate reality. What is true, there is a universe within yourself. And there are millions of ways to be in bondage within that universe, within yourself. So for me, to cut a long story short, Ellen, freedom for me is when you are free from negative impulses within yourself. So the impulse to want to take all of the attention and not allow Runkus, Koro, Fyah, I-Nation to speak, things like that, you know, where we summarize as ego. And ego has many different manifestations because really your ego is your inner self. But the thing about it is, when you live for the physical, the external aspects of yourself, then you become selfish. But the thing about it is,
if you truly have knowledge of self, you realize you are one with everyone. And if you can act based on knowing that you are one with everyone, then you are truly free. And not only everyone, with the trees, with the plants, with the animals. You know, for me, being free is when I stop eating animals. Because everybody can tell you. You know, much people tell me, say, boy, they might try this vegetarian thing, but the chicken, boy, the chicken. I can't give up the chicken. You know, and that's not being free. People think that doing whatever you want is being free, like a free-for-all. That means if I want to take up a gun and start shooting in here, I'm free to do it. That's not freedom. You're a slave to negativity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Kabaka, and that is the kind of consciousness that reggae allows you to achieve.
True.
So it's all about inner consciousness, about self and what it is to be a human being that relate to people. Yeah.
Yes, not a black human being, not a white human being, not an African, Jamaican, European, but just a human being. Ultimately, that is where we will reach as humanity. You know, we're not at that stage right now, but we are evolving. And it's things like reggae music allow us to evolve and to be conscious of these things. So when we say black consciousness, it is because we know that we as members of the black race, we have evolution to do within ourselves. And we are reaching out to ones to say, look, we need to empower ourselves. And it is the same way each individual has a right to empower themselves. You know what I mean? To reach in the ultimate goal of oneness within all humanity. That is true freedom.
Yes, yeah, Koro, what can you add to this?
Right? There's nothing I can really add to that. Other than that, I'm glad to be a part of this movement of liberation. Jamaica has a history of rebellion, has a history of rebels and leaders who have always fought for a cause, in a greater cause. And I think that this music is just another evolution of that, you know, throughout time, and a manifestation of that as well. So I and I is just here to bring forward that level of liberation and express it through the music. It's liberating to express these thoughts through the music, you know. So, yeah, man, I give thanks to be a part of that. I can't even, Kabaka said it all a while ago, you know, I give thanks, you know what I mean? So, yeah, man, we'll continue the struggle, because it's an ongoing struggle, you know what I mean? Freedom is not an overnight thing, you know. Most of us are less free than we actually think we are, so, you know, it's really an internal struggle for all I and I, yeah, man. And the music is a manifestation of that and a tool to help share that liberating thought and that mindset, you know? Give thanks.
And we are going to, of course, listen to some music also, but before that I have two questions. One to Dennis, because reggae has a history of being a freedom sound, as the Scatterlights also called it. Maybe you can enhance the people a little bit about the history and trace a bit the history of reggae as a freedom sound.
First of all, let me state that reggae is not resistance and freedom sound without one fundamental issue, and that is Rastafari. Because without Rastafari, there is no redemption song, there is no freedom sounds, and there is no black consciousness. So let us get that straight, that Rastafari is the foundation. And consciousness and resistance has been throughout the entire history of the Jamaican people in the Caribbean. When we were in the slave, on the slave plantation, we had resistance songs. And some of them came through the popular songs such as Mento. People believe that reggae was the first popular song to talk about Ethiopian, Rastafari, and rebellion. There's a track called Ethiopia from Lord Leby, which was a mentor song, which was one of the first songs on record to talk about Rastafari. Then, and Selassie. And Ethiopia. And then there are the Nyabingi songs that predate reggae and to some extent ska, that basically talk about people like Patrice Lumumba and freedom fighters from all over the world. Then in Calypso, not Calypso, ska, in ska, that was all resistance. It was about Fidel Castro. It was about Lee Harvey Oswald. It was about occupation. Every social and international issue that affected black people was sprinkled in the music of the Scatterlights. So that was resistance also. And then we come to the heights of Rastafari consciousness in the 70s, where reggae is the genre. And this is where it really mushroomed with the people like Marley, the people like Burning Spear, Abyssinians who introduced American Ethiopian churchical hymns into reggae with Sata Masagana, and people like Big Youth with I Pray Thee. And there's another one, I can't remember the name of the guy, maybe, I forget his name, Flacco, sorry, could tell me, it's called Imasgan. You remember who did that?
Same Abyssinians.
Oh, no, and then there's, yes, that's true, but there was another DJ that came on with Imasgan, but let's leave that alone.
Big Joe.
Oh, Big Joe. Thank you. Always can get help from these guys. So and the resistance is not because of just resistance and liberation. It's because of the social and economic context of the black experience in Jamaica. People fail to remember that the black experience in the 1950s and 60s was one of subjugation, was one of marginalization. We were lesser than. And so we used the music to resist the subjugation, the marginalization, the fact that the colonial masters wanted us to believe that we were lesser than. We were still property. We were still chattel, because we had the liberation in terms of emancipation of slavery. But throughout all of the periods after emancipation, the system worked against us to keep us in a marginalized situation.
Dennis, let me say, to add to what you're saying and to agree with what you're saying. What I'm saying is, you see, the chains have changed. As the times go along, the chains, which are the physical chains, which, and at that time, the method of rebellion was drum and beat, Nyabingi singing, to predate Nyabingi singing, which was just straight African chanting. Then if the chains have changed in the 10, 20, 30 years, then the method of rebellion is going to change. It's still Nyab, it's still the hardcore drum, but it's now dub music. It's now roots music.
Yeah.
It's now, I've connected, I've realized that everything in life is energy. Everything in life is energy. So the same energy that our dub tune can emit is the same energy that a reggae tune, that a hip-hop tune will emit. I can listen to Nas in the same heartbeat that I listen to Abyssinians and get the same effect, because they're rebelling in the same breath, just in different ways. 1990 is not going to look like 2010, but the struggle will always be the same. The chains will change, but the method of freedom will always change as well. So as the music goes forward, we'll always have different names to call it. Reggae, ska, hip-hop, dancehall, them want to call dancehall, tropical house now, them call this, them call everything a lot of names. But you and I, we that exist in a more energy-based liberty, because we, people that are conscious, we consider ourselves more spiritual than physical, because we are first spiritual beings existing in a human, in a physical plane. So if you connect with I've heard songs that remind me of the trees, that sound just like the river, that sound just like the mountains, and you probably were asking how the mountains sound. Well, listen, and you hear them, because them sing just like everything in life. So, in the same heartbeat, I just agreeing that the chains, they're still here. Kabaka said one of them is ego. This is one of our inner chains that we have to face. And it's not really the ego is the problem, is what it uses us. Just as if technology uses us, then we are a slave to technology, rather than we using technology to make a new sound, to make a new book, to create a new art piece, to make some microphones so you can hear my voice in the back. You know what I mean? So all of these things, nothing in life is really good or evil, you know? It's how we use it, it's our intention towards it. Nothing in life. In the same balance, in the same breath that you can use a spoon to eat some soup and sip up and feed yourself, you can use that same spoon and dig out a man's eye. When Isaac Newton and these people, Albert Einstein found the methods of nuclear energy. He wanted to power the whole world with free electricity. Nikola Tesla as well, balance. And what them do? Them could have that. Mind them rather find a way to create a weapon that if you come over my side of the land, I can destroy your side of the land. And we're all on one piece of land, planet Earth. We're all in one space-time continuum, the universe, which is I and I. They would rather destroy each other to protect their own. And I realize that we all need each other. That is energy. One. In the beginning, it was the word, and the word was the sound, and that became power. This is we in the flesh.
And I think that's why reggae is so powerful, because reggae is such a phenomenal music. Imagine we're speaking about rebellion and about standing up for, at first, black rights. You know what I mean? And this thing evolved into this phenomenal energy where it represents freedom for all people in bondage, you know? All people trying to find them way out and trying to find some identity. You know, Rastafari has helped as well. As a matter of fact, reggae is actually the vehicle, one of the main vehicles to help bring Rastafari message to the world, which is a unifying message as well. You know what I mean? So, yeah, man, it's very phenomenal right now. It's a phenomenal time from them time that till reggae start or till we class it reggae till now. You know, we've been on a phenomenal journey of unifying people through music.
Koro say.
Please wait a little moment, then when we open it up, you can all ask questions.
That's why I was saying it's still a journey, you know what I mean? And that, I think that is why the people are gravitate towards it so much, you know, because... And that's why reggae is so important, to help bring that awareness to the people that, look here, we're still not free, you know, we still have to unify to fight against this bigger system that is oppressing people all over the world.
Yeah, bless the Lord. Yeah, reggae. Before reggae, freedom was just a touchable event. You know, emancipation come, independence come forward, and you feel free. But you don't really feel free, you feel empty. It's as Kabaka said, freedom is really an inner thing. You know, says reggae really make the masses of the people feel that inner feeling of feeling free. You know, before reggae, people never really feel free inside themselves. You know, it's reggae really make you consciously connect with feeling free. You know, and not just a touchable, tangible event like emancipation or independence, which is, we work out, realize is an illusion. You know, but reggae now connect with your inner self and make it know the free will is, you know, within yourself, as a Kabaka say, you know.
iNation, I would also like to ask you, because you're keeping the event Inner City Dub, in the inner city. We have a lot of roots events in Kingston, which are based in other places. And what you do is, of course, it is freedom work. Maybe you can tell us about it, because iNation keeps the dance. It used to be kept in Tivoli Gardens, but now due to violence, he moved it to Trenchtown. But you're doing concrete freedom work there, and maybe you can tell the people a bit about it.
Yeah, it's boiled forward to the same thing as I said. Reggae is free will music. You know, it's like in the garrison, the youths just listen to the hardcore dancehall. You're not going to find a garrison you listening to a Burning Spear or a Israel Vibration album. You know, they will listen to Cartel and Alkaline and all of that. And then the youths that are committing the violence and the killing and all that, they are not listening to reggae. They are listening to hardcore dancehall. So it shows you the power of reggae. So that's why I even start up Inner City Dub to try and bring that change, that conscious change within the inner city, to get the youths them to start listening to good, holistic music, you know, so you can bring forth that internal change within them and lessen the violence and the aggression and the self-hatred and self-destructiveness where take place in the inner city, you know.
So, iNation, can you maybe tell the people here, some of the people gathered here might not be too familiar with conditions in West Kingston and might not know what a garrison community is. So maybe if you could break that down a little bit for them, and then also if you can explain what kind of impact has the event had on the community there. What kind of response did you receive?
Well, garrison is a ghetto, you know, is a political stronghold. As you know, Jamaica is really divided into two political parties, you know, the PNP or the JLP, you know. It's like in Jamaica, you can't really be a Jamaican without being a JLP or a PNP. Even many Rastafari would say, well, they burn politics, but at election time, they go and vote, you know. Yeah, so the garrison is really a stronghold of one of the two major political parties that is run by violence. You know, violence is a dominating force there in the garrisons, you know. The government, the authority rule by force, by the police, you know, by intimidation and crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, and then the youths, them now just reign over each other through violence. That is the garrison. You know, senseless killing and all these things, yeah. So as I said, the music, the dancehall music aid and abet that culture, that violent culture. And many ones maybe not agree or like to hear that, but that's the truth. I have observed it time and over, you know. So reggae now is a music now against that. You know, reggae is a music that don't support violence. Even though reggae is a black conscious revolutionary music, it still is a one love music, a preach peace and love. You know, you can never hear a Rastaman or a reggae artist that tell you, say, yo, if you could take up guns or bombs or whatever. Never. No matter how, it's a rebellious music, a revolutionary music. You know, the revolution and the rebellion is really aimed at internal, as you know, the brother said. You know?
And you know what, to iNation, I find that even within the garrison, then you still have ones where in tune to roots music to a level, and you'll find, say, you know, me do a song named Do Not Bring No Guns Round Here. Guns Round Here. Farm we are farming and the sun round here. And it's a thing where I was really inspired by even, you know, Exile the Brave and the EDB based there. So, and you see, within the garrison, the man them set up them little farm site, you know, and we use tire and put dirt in the tire them and plant food. You know what I mean? And these things are going in the concrete jungle, in the garrison. You know, and these are the ones that listening to Chronics, to Protege, to Kabaka, Jesse Royal, Runkus, Koro, Fyah, you know what I mean? And them, these are the ones coming out to inner city dub.
As against listening to a Vibes Cartel or Alkaline, you know? Yeah, and you know, the thing is, you know, it's hard to escape the music there, even within the garrison. So when I chat in the garrison, I get a lot of comparisons to even Cartel, and you know, because them like to see a conscious artist come with a level of lyricism, you know, and can really represent, because lyricism is an inner desire that we have. We like to hear lyrics, you know what I mean? Just as much we like to hear, there is a part of you, you might not acknowledge it, but there's a part of you will like to hear aggressive music. There's a part of you that like to hear love music. There's a part of you that like to hear metaphors and similes. And a lot of these artists are playing on these impulses within the people.
Yeah, Kabaka, you make a great point. But it just goes to show that the same youth listening to Cartel and Alkaline, they listen to Kabaka Pyramid. It just, what we call the ambiguous nature of Jamaican life. Because the same person who will jump out and skin out like a dancehall queen, when they hear when they hear a religious song, in the same context, they get holy and get very spiritual. Really? So it's a complicated, nuanced, and dynamic space where everything contending. It's a violence, it's about conscience, and then the critical thing for most youth is the level of consciousness that you achieve. And you achieve that consciousness through listening to the lyrics of the revivalists, and I mean the reggae revivalists, and listening to Marley, and listening to all those music that have that kind of a message. But yet, another side of that same youth, another side of the same community will want to hear Cartel, will want to hear Alkaline.
See, Dennis, one thing, especially ones like Koro, and Kabaka, I grew up on Vibes Cartel music. You know, I can't deny that. I can't, but the difference is I versus the youths in the streets. We have the level of consciousness to hear similes, metaphors, alliterations. Them hear the literal, take up the gun and go kill to make a living. You need the big chain, my girl, drop it down low. That them hear. But we don't hear that. We hear, yo, you hear that simile? That? Yo, wake up. And it's still in the same, which is why I say we are the seers. We can see throughout all of the bad, where them said that, and see the good in it, and take from the good, because guess what? If I never listened to Vibes Cartel, I would be as lyrical as I am right now. And that's word to Vibes Cartel. So I have nothing against this music in terms of what we learn to do now is to take what they created and to mix it with the goodness that we're about.
It's the poetry.
And to say, well, music are the weapon of my choice. Smith and Wesson in my left and not what them are advertise. No. Watch it, make me kill them with kindness. There's a gun showing this. Make me kill them with kindness. Well, Marcus Garvey with a cautious army protecting human rights. I walk around calmly with a tall upon me to mine. Boom. Then me kill them with kindness. One of the most aggressive songs never heard in my life. But, as you say, they crave aggression. But it's what it comes with. Because the frequency it emit with, it's still a emit with goodness. You understand? It's not piercing to them ears. It really go to them heart. It not go to ears, so it not control them ears. So.
And you know, the thing about it too, as Mr. Howard said, is the consciousness of it. How conscious are you that you are being entertained by this music with a lot of negativity? You know, when you're listening to it, are you conscious of what it's really doing, the impact it's having on your life? You know what I mean? The impact it's having on other people's life. You know, are you conscious as a disc jock and a DJ? Are you conscious of how this music is affecting people? You know what I mean? And freedom is not so much in what you do or what you can do. It's what you are free from not doing. You know what I mean? What you are able to resist. You know, just like I said with certain things in my diet, I'm free to resist certain things. You know, just like as much as I can appreciate, you know, Carter's music, at the same time, I am just as free to not listen to it and not support it because he's saying things that I just generally do not agree with. You know what I mean? And, I can appreciate the level of lyricism, and he is like, for me, Cartel is like a professor with a PhD telling children's stories. You know what I mean? It's so much potential, and, you know, you don't want to say it's wasted and bring down a judgment, but, that is how we see it playing out. Sometimes misguided.
True.
You know, and we're just calling ones to really bring forth the fullness of them potential. Look how Runkus just give you the lyrics from his song. He's bringing his level of intellect into fruition. You know what I mean? And putting it in a positive sense. That's why when I say I am the baddest lyricist, it's because I am not going to say certain things. So I am just as lyrical without. Some man have a range of topics where go from yasso to yasso. Them can talk about, like all Eminem can talk about killing his girlfriend or killing his mother. I am not going to do that. My range is like here to here. And me still I give you a level of lyricism where you can still go compare it to a Eminem.
True.
You know what I mean? So that is why I, defend myself as a lyricist, and I can stand by that.
In especially dancehall, growing up as a youth, we used to call them the 3 or 4 G's. You only have song about gun, gangster, girl, and ganja. You know what I mean? And sometimes the government. And half of the time, the people they focus on the wrong thing. Some musicians, them love themselves more than them love music. And that is where the problem comes out now. Man like me and Kabaka now, we can hear each other music and say, yo, we don't have no ego if we can say, I love this piece of music. I appreciate this. I appreciate that. I do not appreciate this. So the same essence I can say, I love the cartel. Yo, I don't love that one. Yo, where am I there? So, hey. Right? So this is freedom in it. It's okay to do that, to be a Rastafari and to hear these things. Because I read and I see, as a true conscious person, you need to know good and know evil, but only follow good. Because how can you avoid evil if you don't know it? You have to look it right in that face and say, come here, I'm ugly and turn you good. So this is what we are doing with our music. We hear the Kendrick, the Eminem, because we grew up on that. Say, I want to do some crazy thing. I say, my mom have to turn off them thing there.
True.
I say, oh, that playing in the house.
Some weird stuff, man.
But in the same essence, I wasn't hearing that. I was hearing, yo, when they turn it to, they make them do,
the pattern. And
I said, whoa, you hear that though? It's right, and this is what inspires us now to use that same thing and capture everybody's mind. So guess what we're going to capture? All the Eminem fans and teach them about righteousness.
True that.
Because we're using a method of what he created and making it our own. So right? It's just the balance. We use what they call evil. In the beginning, rock guitar was...
You talk about Eminem. Eminem is hip-hop. Hip-hop come from... Alright,
from
reggae music.
Yeah,
Balance,
so... And
connected.
in the beginning, man, remember when rock guitar was for rock music, and them used to call rock evil music and devil music and one bag of thing. And mans them go, Bob Marley go around the world, enough musicians go around the world and hear this rock sound and find out a way how to use it in a positive light. Look at Concrete Jungle, one of the biggest tunes ever written in this lifetime. And one of the most amazing rock pieces, rock guitar playing that tune. So it's how you go around the world and now infuse the doo sound from dub music, Sly and Robbie themselves. That is a disco sound. Then when they go foreign and hear the disco play and say, no, but this now can be used for the capture all the disco people now, make them love righteousness. So they don't have to wind up themselves all the while. They can wind up for the Lord, for the Almighty. The same essence that you wind, you can praise the Lord in it. All right, you know, nothing do wrong. It's the same energy it take, as them say, the same, our nation said the same woman who was skin out, she will go to church on Sunday and go just as hard, speaking in tongues and the whole works. So it's all the same energy, man, and music. This is what music does. I've seen music make people cry and laugh in the same time.
I would like to steer the discussion more, even more to the lyricism that Kabaka mentioned and play one of his tunes. And then we can talk about the tune, Liberal Opposer.
No, don't you fight us down, don't you fight us down. Don't you fight us down. Them now want to we sit on the throne. On the battlefield, I'm a rebel with a cause, never pass. Babylon a devil on the battlefield. I'm a rebel with a cause, Observe the laws of my heart. I am a liberal opposer, practitioner of yoga, position of the owner, tradition of the shona. Trace back my lineage to in Ethiopia. Down in a Kemet, me build the pyramid of Joseph. I will be fix them, I call that meduletra. When me see the sun arise in the sky, me call it pepper. I praise the pure the leper, with praises unto letter. Them come here with them cross, but me said the ank is better. When I was in up, me better rise up. People take a life, but I see me better life up. And I'm the best, I'm extra exercise up. And be careful of the one that teaches Jesus Christ up. And the battlefield, I'm a rebel with a cause, never pass. Babylon a devil on the battlefield, I'm a rebel with a cause. Observe the laws with no flaws.
Kabaka, a lot of words within one song.
Lot of words.
Can you explain maybe a bit about the song, the liberating effect in the lyrics?
Yeah, so, you know, even on the topic of freedom, it's like, we're always, you know, there are always things being forced upon us. You know what I mean? Through the media, through education, through religion, through, you know, cultural aspects within communities, families, homes, you know, and sometimes real freedom and real consciousness is how much you question it, you know, and in questioning something is like you have a position and you have an opposition. So when I say I'm a liberal opposer, I am within myself creating a place of opposition to what is being presented to me. You know, like, yeah, you know, even when I have a line that says, a very strong line that, you know, maybe I wouldn't use it in this time if I was writing a song now, but I still know why I did it at the time. A line like, be careful of the ones who teach you Jesus Christ stuff. You know, it's like, I'm coming from a place where in Jamaica, Christianity, a certain form of Christianity is being forced upon you from day one. From you go to school, you know, from you're born, you're christened, you know, in the church, and you go to school and you learn church hymns and, you know, and you're taught within a context of Christianity, you know, and religion in general, but, you know, within Jamaica it's mainly Christianity. And I have found that within my journey, it is the more I question these things that the more I found liberation. The more I've opposed them within my mind is the more I found liberation. And you reach to a point where even you come around 360 degrees and you see that there is truth within even Christianity and within all of these religions. But a lot of it is how it is presented to you and what is it used for. Is it used for, you know, subjugation and suppression of a people, you know, to keep them less revolutionary and less, you know, violent? Give them Christianity to kind of somber them down. And that's what I've seen in Jamaica. You know what I mean? Because they said when, you know, our people were being transported across the Atlantic, that the most rebellious people were sent to Jamaica and to Haiti. And, you know, so you see the effects of that. So there have to be systems in place to kind of suppress the minds of these people. And I have seen where Christianity was used as a tool, just like that spoon which Runkus spoke about. The same spoon that could have been used to feed, and it still nourishes people at the same time, but it can still be used to create a mental box and keep you within that box. Now what this box did for me is, when I used to listen, like my mother used to listen just gospel music. And my father now, when I drive into country with my father, he had a car with a CD player at the time, and he used to brag about how he has every Bob Marley music. And he used to play Bob Marley in the car. And I remember as a youth growing up within this mental box of Christianity. When I hear songs like Get Up, Stand Up, I hear the lyrics in it, in the verse. You know, preacher man, don't tell me heaven is under the earth. You know, and lyrics like that. It used to make me feel a little scared, like what is really happening here? Is he questioning?
A lyricist here, them man there, Bob Marley, Peter.
Where we get to started. But just that thing with him do with that line, where just shook me a little bit on the inside. That is the power of music. You know what I mean? And yeah, you know, I remember being so scared hearing those lines. You know, as a little kid in the car driving to country, and you're wondering, how could somebody even question Christianity and the way I was taught it? You know, and that kind of mindset is not the mindset of the future where humanity is going towards, where you just have one dogma, and no matter what, there's nothing that can go against that dogma. That mindset is obsolete right now. You know, religion in that form is becoming obsolete in humanity, and we see that. That is what our music represents, and that's why I'm a liberal opposer.
Yeah, and I would also like to listen to some music from Runkus and Koro as well. Runkus started with the tune Kindness, but we want to listen a bit more of it, and then maybe you can explain the song a bit more in detail.
Runkus.
So if everybody dip on them side, I make me just feel like say, oh, I've got a loan up on my side. That man go more as cool got away from my chance. It's not where they might advertise. Shit make me kill them. Yeah, make kill them with that. If you got away from them outside. One day now you should have. Let me kill them with kindness. Easy make me kill them with. Tell this up, Marcus Garvey, cautious on me. Protecting human rights with that all upon me. Let me kill them with kindness. Easy make me kill them with. Well, this out of a rook up in a scooter, riding straight through with a bazooka, shouting at all the intruders who choose to lie. Easy make me kill them with kindness. Dennis Brown and many clowns in every round. Set it down like a heavy load and then let it go. Kill them with kindness.
Give thanks. I mean, it's as plain as the ears can hear, as the eyes can see. Growing up, my mom, I used to, if I ever used the word can't or hate, especially hate, like I hate that. I hate this person, I hate that. She said, no word or name, so don't use that word. She tell them anyone do you wrong, you kill them with kindness. So I said, when you clap my mother please one time, she grew me good. Clap her louder than that thing. I'm determined to. And I mean, I always, before when I was talking about this tune, I grew up on Vybz Kartel, the Eminem, Jay-Z, Kanye West, you name it, you know. So it was that was the direction I was going in. So it was a very dark place, but out of darkness must come the light. I went in the darkness to learn all of that, and come out with well, as you can see. And you see, Kindness is one of my favorite tunes. And because of what it means to me. So, ever since I wrote that tune, I always tell people, yeah man, we kill her with a smile. I will stab them with a please and then keep them with the thanks. You know, because if they want to, if you tell them straight up your love, peace, kindness, and them not hear you, and them react to aggression, as Barker said, this is the most aggressive we can give it to them. Killing them with kindness is the easiest way I can do it. Right in this tune, I took most of people that mean a lot to me. Marcus Garvey, Motor, Dennis Brown, Determined, Bob Marley. I have actually 18 verse. 18 long verse. Kabaka, this a Kabaka, Fyah style, one bag of thing, Protege, though, everyone that I could have think of. And I have to cut it down to 2 verse. But in my heart, it never cut down because I don't see myself, I don't think I am, right now, speaking to you, this is not Runkus only. I learned from Marcus Garvey, I learned from I-Nation, I learned from Bob Marley, I learned from Koro, I learned from Kabaka. So this spirit that you see here is inspired by all of these people. It's like we're all a melting pot of each other, you know. Every single person that has ever come in contact with you has left something with you, a different impression. So when I wrote this, I was channeling Marcus. Marcus a bad man, you know. I hope you know that. Marcus, Martin Luther, they're bad man. Them they play, but with them they play with kindness. What them was doing was out of love, but them was aggressive with it. So I said, man, if we tell them the same thing over and over again in the same way, them not get it. Music is energy. I can't give you the same amount of energy in the same time. No. Hate, same energy it takes to hate, is the same energy can take to love. And the same energy can take to be frustrated, angry, and all those things. So when you hear kindness, is anger. It's anger in the form of love. You understand? Well, and that tune is the remix version, I had a different verse. And writing it was one of the most frustrating, because I had the first tune, this is the remix, new verse. It took a while because I already said all that I needed to say on the first version, and saying more, it was more, how more can I tell them that this is what it's all about, love. Everyone you see here, we're all messengers sending the same message. The same books that you see I-Nation with come in the form of Kabaka's songs, come in the form of Dennis Hall teachings, come in the form of the artist's art that passed recently, condolences, blessed love. And it's all of these things, they're one, they're connected. The same energy that you see here, a piece of music with. My father always told me, say, when you cook, it must look like music. It must dance like music. It was play football like music. I'm not playing. Kabaka, well, I'm not play ball. They will tell you, when I play, when I play ball, it look like one of my songs that never chop me and kindness. I'm a score goal and I sing move your feet because of the same thing. So, nothing though is all oneness. And at the end of the day, is love. That is the message. No matter what. I can equate all of Kabaka's songs to love. I can equate all of I-Nation's books to love. It's the starting energy of us all. It's it bring together the universe and bring our energy together.
I just want to highlight something that you said. One of the other difference with reggae music is that Runkus just explained the communal nature of how music is made in Jamaica. It's a family situation. We don't see a song as mine. We see the song as ours. And everybody have a part in it. Everybody have a piece in it. Runkus might come up with the lyrics and Kabaka say, no man, that not sound right. Or, it not sound, I don't like the feel. And you say, put in that word. And it was probably inspired by something you heard me say, or you heard something that I-Nation wrote or said. So it's a kind of communal kind of property.
We call that inspiration. I compete with my brothers, you know, but no, it's not a competition. I want to inspire, I aspire to inspire. I want to inspire Kabaka so that he'll inspire me back and then he'll inspire him to do the next tune, and then because that is the way music go forward. When Burning Spirit, when Bob them come out with a piece of tune and Burning hear it, Them will say, which musician played the bass line there? I wish it, because it is all about pushing the music forward. This is bigger than all of us. This music will last longer than our flesh. Longer than our flesh. We already see how all of these musicians who pass and gone still here with us. Garnet is here right now in the hearts of all of it. So we are trying to create something. We're trying to push. Imagine if the man them did just build and just say, yeah, scare the thing, you know. I just scare. You don't know. Chin, 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 chin. Reggae. Because they must competing with inspiration. Whether some man would be doing it out of negativity, some man, it don't matter. At the end of the day, I aspire to inspire, and this is what kindness, this is what all of my music is about. If I can preach love in a way that it will make my brother sing about love again, and then me sing about love, man, that's the key. You know what I mean? To continue push each other in a positive light, in a positive way.
Okay, give thanks, Runkus. Fyah, you have any questions? And I would like
yeah,
to
I have
hear
a
one
question,
tune by Koro.
and is for everyone wants to answer because you're many. One of the powerful lines ever written in one, not just in a reggae song, but I think in one popular song is "Emancipate yourself from mental slavery," and it's about a record released in 1980, but it's still going strong. And my question is, what's the worst example of mental slavery you're experiencing in your life in these days? So the new mental slavery.
I mean, what I see and what I experience in Jamaica is it varies. You know what I mean? The mental slavery varies. We notice that a lot of people don't like how they look. They don't like their complexion, their skin color. You know what I mean? They're bleaching. And that's a very primary example. It's obvious.
A dangerous one, listen.
Yeah. You know what I mean? And as much as we are a nation that speaks about emancipation, about standing up for your rights, about black consciousness, black pride, loving yourself as an African person, we notice how this form of mental oppression is still existent, where the people don't love themselves. You know? So that's just one idea.
Yeah, it's the same people who will jump up for a Richie Spice song about black
Exactly.
skin. You know, the same people who will bleach and thing. And there's so many examples of mental slavery. You know? Yeah, as I mentioned a while ago, the biggest one is ignorance. And one way how it manifests in my life is I went to one of the best high schools in Kingston, Jamaica, called Campion College. See? And when I say best, you know, I don't really mean that based on the education that I received. It's just more about the stature of the school and, you know, the results of tests that students take. That really, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't mean much in life still, but we appreciate the opportunity to go to a school like that. When I left Campion after graduating 5th form, and I went to live in the United States. And it's a fun living in the United States when I was heavily into Sizzla Kalonji's music, and that inspired me to seek Rastafari within myself. And when I returned the first time to Jamaica to visit, I had locks on my head. They were very short, but this what you see now is my second. I cut my locks before and grow it again. So this is around 2002 we're talking about. And I went to visit my brethren at school because they were in 6th form. Now this is an extra 2 years you can do to prepare you for university. It's in a British system thing. So I go to school to visit my brethren, and the vice principal is going to come up to me and say that, you know, he doesn't really want me on the campus. You know, and I said, all right, cool. I thought this had something to do with the fact that I was a bit of a troublemaker in my later years in school, but that wasn't the case, you know? So I went and I visited the school again the next day, and same vice principal saw me again. And he was saying, you know, I really want to let you know that, you know, we can't have you on the campus. So I said, why? And he said that the image that I'm portraying is not in alignment with the beliefs of the school. No, this is a Christian school, This is Roman Catholic school. So when the Jesuits come from Rome and places like wherever they get their training, they live on the school's campus. So this is an important place for the Roman Catholics. And when I was, you know, told that I couldn't be on the school because I have locks on my head in Jamaica, in 2002, I couldn't believe it. And I think that the mental slavery that shows. Now, we have been all around the world, you know, many different places, and in the majority of where I have been, you know, Rasta is dealt with in a positive way. You know, whether it's because we're musicians and Bob Marley, or, you know, Usain Bolt and Jamaica and the association, but I have never received the level of, you know, stigmatization and things like what you will receive in certain places in Jamaica. Not all of Jamaica, you know, but the places that consider themselves high-class places. And that for me is a height of, you know, it's just disgusting to see. And what I can say on a positive note, Runkus also attended that school with locks, and he said he's much younger than me. I might look around the same age as Runkus, but I have a couple years on him.
Baka, let me tell you see, all that Baka got through, and all in that space and time. 2002, you went back. I entered Campion 2006, 2007, and we were the first Rastafarians accepted there. I think they have let women
have locks.
During the course of the year, so they'd come without locks and leave with locks. But because it is a hairstyle,
yes,
that is what they'd use as the excuse, because they cannot have themselves next to Rastafari. That is what they portray. And 2006, 4 years later, through Sizzla Kalonji, through Capitan, Determined, all of those that were burning a fire at. They don't even have to look at Campion and say fire burning. They don't have to look at classism and say fire burn. They must burn in a fire. And you don't know what happens when fire burn? One little candle can burn down this whole place.
On its own.
When so much people was lighting fire around the place, it catch.
Everything I get burned up.
And serious. And when I enter Campion, I enter with a fire and a current, because they couldn't ask me to do that. I would not allow it. I would not have it. And I guess at this time they were freeing up. They wanted to maybe be accepted as a school for all. Who knows? But differently, I mean, before Kabaka said it, it's a school that it taught us a lot. More than even education, more knowledge, especially of class. This is a thing that is very touchy to I and I.
Yeah, in Jamaica, classism is the first prejudice.
Is the first.
Racism stems from classism in a sense.
So these societal dispositions, this is the mental slavery. The society itself opposes. They create this reality, this altered reality, where if you don't look like this, then if you don't drive.
Yeah, man, you have blacks and ladies are dirty ras.
True.
You know, it's like they equate it to the crackheads on the street who never comb them hair, and that is the kind of stigma that has been portrayed in a Jamaican culture for a very long time, and is now as we become more exposed internationally and things like that and wanted to be accepted within an international context, now you see people easing up and you see 1 and 2 people in a bank with some little fine locks, some neat locks and them thing they know.
Baka, you know what I in my journey did to defeat them? And it was all thanks to this teacher, Mrs. Manderson. I was young, first form in 7th grade, 14, 15, that age. And, you know, we're playing ball, running up and down, because this is high school time. We don't really care how we look and how we act with dirty and thing. And we just a bad man thing, because I was a troublemaker like Kabaka as well. And this teacher, this Rastafarian teacher, Mrs. Manderson, looked at me and said, you can't be seen like this. You can't be doing this. Because you're not representing yourself only. Look around. You're the only one here. You are representing Rastafari, especially here. So you know what I do the next day? Come.
Clean. Fresh.
Clean here, clean here. And them couldn't touch me. Nothing they tried could prevail. No detention, no the great nothing. Because they saw that, oh, the same people they accept into the school, the Roman Catholic, they're living below the standard of what I am setting. And I was not supposed to be accepted into the school. You understand? So what we do is kill them with kindness. We come and we be loving. We be overstanding. I personally, everyone knew and loved I because I knew and loved everyone. I wasn't with one clique, one crew, no. I'd play ball and then go read Harry Potter and then go look girl and then go read the Bible and go in I would be everything. I would be in ISCF, that is a church club, Roman Catholic, inter-school Christian fellowship. And in the same breath, I would be in Green Generation. And in the same breath, I'd be in, that is an environmental club. I'll be in...
But never be like a music club or like a studio?
I'll be in music school. I was one of the first to bring a studio there and initiate. They have a studio right there in Campton now through our efforts. And yeah, man, clap, man. It's a great thing. It's one of the first schools to have a studio in the school.
I see who bring it, Rasta.
And it's Rastafari had to bring it, and not only bring it, but to teach what it means. Because yes, you can sing, yes, you can dance, yes, you can play an instrument, but what do you do with it? What do you do with that talent? Because God give us all talents, and it's if we use or misuse it, that determines, that places us in the line of judgment. So in that same breath, I was blessed with Rastafari. I was blessed with the knowledge of self, this inner consciousness. And I had to represent for not only myself, but for Rastafari throughout this whole school. I felt the burden, the pressure, but them couldn't catch me. No, sir. Because anything they tried, it would just deflect. If you surround yourself with love, it can try. It can.
Okay, Runkus, give thanks. Before we open it up, what we have to do very soon, but the discussion is going on so nice, so I don't want to really stop it, but I would love to listen to New Day from Koro Fyah so that you also listen to his music.
Life is a blessing and of this I'm sure. Give thanks for every lesson from which I grow. I rise to excellence to fulfill my goals. Cause it's a new day, it's a new dawning. The most I rise me again. I know I am blessed. New day, it's a new dawning. The lion rise again. I in me. For every breath I gotta give thanks. Knowing life is a gift for me. Just guide my steps along the distance till I reach my destiny. Now fear, no try, cause Jah abide with me. Work till me tired, but I try time for me. I will hungry, grip me belly like pliers and twists. I know that I will provide for me. New day, it's a new dawning.
Up.
Yeah, Koro, maybe a few words. Maybe actually it kind of goes back to the beginning, right? Freedom, reggae as a music of freedom, and Rastafari.
Yeah, well, that song means a lot to me because it's like a note to self, you know? It's like I was writing that out of my own personal journey, struggle, you know? And it's like a reminder that every day I wake up, you know, I have to give thanks, I have to appreciate this gift of life, you know? And the Most High has blessed me with this ability, you know, of music, of being able to write music and sing. So I use it to express how appreciative I am for life and, you know, another day, you know, because there's so much that can get done in one day, you know, we take it for granted. So yeah, New Day really is a symbolic song for me. It's actually one of the first singles I ever released, you know, and it got a lot of response, a good response from the people. I mean, like, probably has over 70,000 plays on SoundCloud and stuff like that. To tie it back into freedom or to tie it back into Rastafari, as I said, all when I toil, all when I work hard and tired, you know, is the Most High really carrying me through, you know, and I have to appreciate that and I have to give thanks for Rastafari because even just the message and the words of His Imperial Majesty and the culture of Rastafari is one that helps to motivate you and reassure you that, look here, man, no matter what you're going through, you know, the Most High is still there carrying you along the way, and you have to appreciate that you're never alone. You know, we're never alone on this struggle, on this journey throughout life. You know, we have each other.
And you know, I'm pretty to Koro. I see it very symbolic too because we're in a new age and a new time now. You know what I mean? So it's like a new day for consciousness, for awakening. And,
yes, we're in the era and time of awakening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Give thanks for connecting that, you know?
Yeah, man. So sometimes the music mean even more than what we were thinking at the time when we write it. Sometimes I write songs and people telling me what it means to them and I never ever know. So that,
definitely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always a mystical thing, it's a multi-layered thing, this music.
You know, Bakam always used to say that I don't feel like, I know we write it, you know. We are the vessel.
Yeah.
Of which
just
it
a
came,
transcribe.
Of which it came.
Yeah.
See him there? Him do it.
Yeah.
And men and I, the balance, you see, all of this stuff, we're all vessels doing his work, doing one work. And it all boils down to what I said, love. So every piece of music that we write and sing, it's not through we, it's through the strength that Him give us. So give thanks.
Okay, a big round of applause for everybody on the panel here has come up. Wonderful session, and of course, we want to give you the chance to ask questions too. I know it was long and a long discussion and a lot of impact probably, but please, you know, ask your questions, don't be shy. We are among us and a beautiful community.
Thank you, thanks. Is it clear? Can you hear me? Yes. Okay, just gonna read something. Question to, respectfully, to Kabaka. We are all Jamaicans, we know each other. Give thanks for the powers of this generation, Rastafari. So the now generation of Rastafari, reggae musicians, must show some commitment to take the music to a higher level. Not because of talent or the ability to sing or perform, but to live the words of the songs they have created. Now the question is, what are your commitment to the future development and advancement of Rastafari music and the preservation of the Rastafari liberty through reggae music? That's my question. Give thanks.
Well, right now, it's a great honor to even represent Rastafari through music. And Rastafari as a movement of people has been through a lot within humanity and within the last 50, 60, 70 years. and even just black people beyond that. So the task upon us as musicians is very great, mainly because of the influence that we have been afforded, and which I am grateful to have through the music. So even by merely using that influence and that platform to raise awareness of issues on a basic level, a contribution is being made. But as we say, you know, it's the works and not the word is really important. So, you know, I personally have been a member, I Nation and Koro Fyah have been members of organizations like the Rastafari Youth Initiative Council, and I've contributed to, you know, the enhancement of Rastafari liberty in Jamaica and, you know, strengthening our ancients, you know, through Rastafari and through community works, community development works, you know. And I think one thing that I personally see is that, as Runkus said earlier, a lot of what I've realized is that everything is energy. Rastafari is our expression of a particular set of principles. And outside of the label Rastafari, the principles still remain. So if we are dealing with self-sufficiency, if we are dealing with food security, if we are dealing with, you know, an ancestral consciousness within liberty, we are dealing with Rastafari. And whether or not you identify as Rastafari, you can identify with these principles. You know what I mean? So for me, it is more utilizing the principles that I have learned from Rastafari and using them to strengthen anyone who identifies with these areas and is seeking assistance. So I would love if we could get together, a group of minds, and discuss and put into motion a strategy and a plan, a long-term plan, that we can bring Jamaica more up to speed with regards to self-sufficiency, self-determination, you know, connection with Africa and the motherland, politically, economically, socially, you know, in all culturally, all of these ways. I would love if that is where I could see the greatest impact, because we can all do things here, isolated things. Like, you know, we can build a house for someone, or we can raise money through an event or a show and do a particular task. But at the end of the day, the people who are governing the world right now, they have set long-term plans in motion for the domination of this planet. And until we get together and put some kind of long-term plan which counteracts that plan that they have set into place, we will still be in bondage, you know? Yeah, so, you know, efforts to do that have been initiated, I can say. So it's really about sticking to the task and manifesting. You know, it's not something that's going to happen overnight, you know?
Okay, thank you. So who would like to put the next question to our esteemed guests? Yes.
Hello, can you hear me? Good. Paulo Freire wrote in The Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he said, "The oppressed man has never instigated violence. He never started violence, because for him to be oppressed in the first place, there must have been some prior subjugation." So he said it was a response, and the question is to you guys, to what extent do you think there's space for violent resistance, and can that be justified by love?
You see, people when Rastafari look towards Haile Selassie, His Imperial Majesty the First, and one of the biggest events that happened in Earth that reflect throughout my life that I use towards almost everything. So when Italy wanted to invade Ethiopia, Ethiopia didn't go to Italy and attack and try to take no. They defended themselves. So violence as an act is an act to do towards someone, then you're becoming violent. If you are being violent to defend, you are defending, because we're here to protect. Protection is also one of the principles of Rastafari. We have to protect each other, we have to protect ourselves, we have to protect our principles. So there's ways to protect our principles without even being violent. There's ways to protect ourselves as human beings without being violent. If someone comes to this to affect or to attack my family, I can't say I'm not going to kill them. I'm going to defend myself. I'm going to defend them. That doesn't mean to take a life. That doesn't mean to hurt. Or the intent to do that, as give thanks Kabaka, because intention, it goes along. Intention is what shows who you are truly, your inner self. So we as human beings, no one wants to take a life. Not even sometimes the musketeer don't want to kill, because it's life itself. No one wants to kill the animals. No one wants to. I don't even want to step on the grass sometimes because I'm going to kill them. But they are here for us. And it's the intention. If you grow the food with love, they will now feed you back with love. There's experiments, there's things that they do to show. There's this experiment that showed that a room filled with positivity and love will grow food easier than a room that is violent and filled with hate. So a violent reaction is never the answer.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, let me just add to that. Violence is in context, because if you defend yourself, if violence is the only resort, you have to utilize violence, Like our nation coming to being through wretched of the earth, and wretched of the earth front and must be enough ones will say is an advocate of violence, but that really, but when like a country being fighting for their independence, like the Algerian context, you have to utilize violence. There is no way you could come out of bondage without utilizing violence. And even the Bible, because we're all Christian people oriented in some way or the other, even the Bible, the Old Testament tells you an eye for an eye, while in the New Testament it tells you turn the other cheek. So it's all context. So it's like the consciousness where you're at, the level of consciousness where you're at, divide the utility of violence. If you're in a spiritual realm, then you know to turn the other cheek. Because so you can't really hurt another without hurting yourself. But if you're there on a spiritual realm, then you're just there on a physical, mundane realm. Then say, if a man punch in your face, you're not going to take it. You want to defend yourself. It's all context,
Yeah, and generally to add to that too, iNation, generally we're moving out of a time where we really need to focus on violence, even for any good cause, you know what I mean? It's more about unifying and using intelligence to bring about change. I have a line where I say, all for one, but no musketeer. This a revolution, no need no musketeer. You know what I mean? It's a different time and, phase we're in now. It's a new day.
True. That is
so
true.
Violence is not necessarily, it's no longer the answer for trying to do good.
Yeah. Nation, we understand what it's right, There is a need for violence when someone is being violent towards you. If someone comes to attack you, but is violence really violence if you're defending yourself? It's defense.
Yeah, self-defense.
So self-defense, because we're all about oneness of self. And if we are in need to be violent, then it's really defense. You understand? We're not going to attack someone. We're not going to, because intent, as you say, the intent shows your level of consciousness, shows that, okay, when, as our nation say, when to turn the cheek, when is an eye for an eye. So it's all about the intention, and yourself, the inner self will tell you that intention.
Yes. Sorry, we have, yes. There's a question over here first. Yes, yes.
Greetings. Is it on?
Yes, it's on, yes.
Okay, greetings all. It's not so much a question that I have, it's just something that I want to say. And I have to thank all you men that are coming through now and ladies that are singing conscious lyrics, bringing it back to us, and those with the literature, bringing it out to the young people. I'm first generation parents from Jamaica, born in England. We had a lot to contend with, and some of us lost the way along the way and adopt certain things. I have to thank God for my daughter, who is a conscious youth still, because she do a lot of research and look into things, and she's starting to educate me. And it's because of her that I start to listen to your music as well and learning from it. First time I come to an event like this, and I never see so much love from different nationalities in my life, and I love it. And we have to keep it up. Yes, keep it up. Yeah. And just one more thing. As a nation, we have to watch what our governments are doing to us and putting in our minds, because a lot of things are going on, it's not real. They're putting it there and doing it so that we turn against each other. Look at the racial hatred that they're creating with the nations now. We can't let this happen. We have to stand together and fight against it.
Real talk,
100%. 100%.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to say something. Thank you for that. And Paula Ferry also spoke about consciousness and inner consciousness, and that is what is happening right there. Once we reach a level of consciousness and we know with self-worth, and what a big word is our ontology. When we know that, and through the foundation of Rastafari and the traditions of our ancestors, as Jamaican first, and they will spread the word through reggae music to the rest of the world and become a one love universe. We will move to that space where we can really say to our governments, listen, this has to stop, and this is what we want.
True.
Yes, just want to say big respects to all of you young people who are carrying forward the conscious vibes and the positive messages of Rastafari and Black consciousness in general. I just wanted to pick up on Pierre's question about mental slavery. As you all probably know, that was a statement made by Marcus Garvey, which Bob Marley picked up. And it seems to me that when we answer the question of mental slavery around skin bleaching, it is really very complicated. Because a lot of people who bleach in Jamaica do not bleach because of self-hate. It's the very opposite. There's a racism in the society that privileges light skin. And Black people bleach in order to meet the ideal that they see, part of the classism and the racism. And so when we dismiss bleachers as not having a positive self-concept, I think we are missing part of the nature of the transformation that needs to take place, which is in a larger society where light skin is privileged. And I want to raise another related question because I'm concerned about the music videos created by conscious Black men in which you see a whole set of light-skinned women. And I want to know if you young men believe that your erotic desires, not necessarily yours, young men, Black young men, if your erotic desires can be reprogrammed towards Black women, desiring beautiful Black women, when the dominant images in the media tell you that the light-skinned woman is a desired sex object or sex subject. So how do we get this mental slavery to be transformed? Not just to say Black people must have Black consciousness, but when these Black men are choosing light-skinned women as the ideal partner, you reinforce the bleachers. because the bleachers are saying, you see, look how them a chat about black consciousness and look on the woman them when they walk with. Me want to look like that too.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Heavy.
That's a tough one, Karen.
Heavy.
It's a very, 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 very touchy, sensitive topic.
Ticklish.
You know, it's a tough one. As you say, it's a much larger picture at play. And I don't think when Koro mentioned the bleaching is really to, quote unquote, attack the individuals who are bleaching, you know.
No, man.
But is the phenomenon itself and the reasons for it. Because whether it is self-hate, because I could still use that definition of the classism, as we say, and the racism that stemmed from it in Jamaica. Or the racism is the tool then for classism, is a tool for classism in Jamaica. It is seen through the lens of race or skin tone. Shadism. Right? So if one decides they need to, you know, heighten or raise the tone, if you want to say, or maybe lessen the melanin in the tone, then they're not pleased with who they are at the current state. You know what I mean? And you could argue that is self-hate, but the point that you raise now with, in terms of man's erratic desires and how it manifests, you know, I think that in a general sense, humanity is moving towards a process of unification. And one of the stepping stones in that process of unification is the mixing of the races. And I'm just dealing with facts. I'm not dealing with how I personally feel about it, or, you know, who I would choose to be my long-term partner or anything like that. You know what I mean? It's just the facts. What we see now in terms of humanity is, whether we see it in the media and it is being forced upon us, or whether it is just a reality, is that races are being mixed. You know, all around the world. You know, there is a phenomenon within humanity called root races, and whenever a new root race is being created, it stems from a melting pot of races coming together. And out of that, that is why nobody can determine, you know, how Christ looked, because Christ came out of a melting pot. In that region in Israel at the time was a melting pot of races. You know what I mean? And these are just facts. You know, and the thing is, each one has to decide within themselves where they stand when it comes to the choice of a partner. And there are a lot of dynamics within that. There is, you know, cultural dynamic, there's ancestral dynamic, there's nationality-based dynamic when it comes to that. And at the end of the day, each one has to know what they stand for. If you are saying that your thing is about preserving black culture and the black race, then you're being hypocritical if we see you with a white woman at the end of the day. You know what I mean? If that is something you publicly stand for. If we are saying that in actual fact that everything is energy and we are one humanity, then the reality that we have to face is that if you are unable to bring that mind state into a relationship, then maybe we're not really being true about how we view this oneness phenomenon, you know, at the end of the day. I don't want to provide excuses for people who maybe don't have that self-love and are maybe victims of you know, a colonial system and a racial setup that, you know, puts the white on top and the black at the bottom. And a lot of our linguistics within even the English language causes that or reinforces that. We cannot deny these things. And I'm not providing an excuse for people who are victims of that. But to the people who are conscious within themselves and know that at the end of the day, I am a soul who is occupying a black body to have an experience in a black body. I understand that at the end of the day, I am still a soul, and being a soul is what defines me. Not being in this black body, that's not what defines me. And that is a fact as far as I am concerned.
Great.
You know, whether or not, you know, maintaining harmonious relationships based upon me being with someone in another black body or not, that is up to me to come to that realization and to decide, you know. But at the same time, I fully understand the issue. And black people need encouragement in this time to believe in themselves. We are still coming out of a phase where, you know, racial subjugation was very prevalent, and we can talk about the atrocities all the time. When people come to me and say, you know, let's forget about racism, let's raid. Racism isn't real. Yeah, it's slavery, let's forget about that. That I cannot identify with that mindset.
Dwelling on those things.
But we have to be conscious of it and still attempt to rise above it. You know what I mean? That is where we need to be, and it starts first with the consciousness. So, reading about black empowerment, reading about Marcus Garvey, reading about Haile Selassie, about Malcolm X, Martin Luther, and the struggle and, you know, the enlightenment even within black consciousness is an important step for everyone on their journey in our consciousness. Yeah, man, so from that perspective, I encourage you once and to put some black women in the videos. You know what I mean? For those people who need to see that. For those people who that will be that important symbol that they need to see to feel that self-worth, so that they don't see the need to go bleach because, you know, man never like me unless I bleach. You know? I can't get no Rasta man if, you know what I mean? If I don't look a certain skin tone. You know, I would encourage the ones them to be conscious of that and have that as a factor. You know, but at the same time we understand the oneness thereof.
There's a couple of more questions back here, yeah. Couple more questions over there.
Hello. Okay. Does it work? My voice is broken. Too much concert.
Yeah,
thank you for the conference, guys. Very, very interesting, guys and women. Just a more practical question. I really like what you told about oneness and unification. And I was wondering what's your point of view about money? I'm general manager of a cultural company, and it's still a struggle to live in the cultural sector. I can imagine you all have manager who deal with money for you. But it was very interesting you were saying that in the family reggae community in Jamaica, it's not my tune, it's not my music, but it's our music. But how do you connect this very spiritual point of view of oneness, unity, to the very individual capitalistic system in which we are and in which music is? And all my friends in Jamaica still struggle to make a living. It's still a fight, not only in Jamaica. And I was thinking, how do you deal with this? Thank you.
That is Big Youth has a song called Aluta Continua, the struggle continue. And indeed, the struggle still continues because that is the conflict between the movement of Jamaican popular music, especially reggae, even in dancehall. When we come in contact with the global music industry, there are different set of norms that you have to deal with. And a lot of our people are not equipped to deal with it because they grew up in a different situation. In Jamaica, we don't have an established institutional musical industry. we find innovative ways to break out. The revivalists are against all odds because it was dancehall and more dancehall. They found a way to be creative and to be heard. Thank God for the internet and other technology that they had at their disposal. But it wasn't easy for Kabaka Pyramid. People believe Kabaka Pyramid just came out about 2 years ago. No, it's been around for a long time. Same thing with Chronics, and they've been toiling and being creative to get out there. So when they get to the global marketplace, there are some different issues that they have to deal with. And sometimes, a lot of us are not equipped to deal with it. Some of us don't want to deal with it because you have Rastaman who say, I am not going to put on any makeup for an interview. Some people are not trained and disciplined enough to deal with the rigors of touring, the responsibilities of getting up to do the interviews, to drive for hundreds of miles and all of that situation. So the best of the Jamaican industry that rise are the ones who are conscious again, disciplined, and have an understanding of the global marketplace. So you could have more Kabaka pyramids, Runkus, Koro, Fyah, but because there's this disconnect with the way we make music and how we socialize as a community, and it's our music. In the global context, it is my music. It is the creative genius that creates that great song, which is to be exploited at all cost. We say we share music, and we love music, and it's about the community, and that's the conflict. So it's an ongoing struggle for us in terms of negotiating the global music industry.
Thank you, Dennis. Maybe one last question because the main stage is starting soon.
Yeah. Okay, it looks like we have two. Let's try two last questions here.
All right, two last questions.
I think there's one over there and one in the front row.
Yes, I'm here. Blessed love to the panel, yeah? London, England, Brixton, all over. The question of reparations I wanted to ask the panel, is something that we always sort of hide behind, you understand? Or the forces that be hide behind, yeah? So I just wanted to say, I'll ask the panel what you think about the call for reparations and how it's been like just left behind. I mean, after the war, Second World War, the Jews got compensated for a few, they were locked up and subjugated and killed, given a bit of land, but for the reparations of the struggle, what I'd just like to ask you, what do you think is the way forward in regards to reparations?
Thank you. Thanks. Well, to answer that, I would first like to commend the Rastafari community and Afrocentric community in the UK for fighting the reparations struggle consistently. And as I am not on the front line as it regards the subject, I can't really speak on the exact progress that is being made. But I know that within my music and within our expression, the importance for reparation is a must. But it must be counterbalanced with our own efforts at uplifting our standards at the same time in a self-sufficient way. Because I can't really expect the same ones who did me wrong to do it right. I can push them to do right, and if they do, then I will accept that. But at the same time, we have to do our own efforts, as much as we are fighting for reparation, or possibly even more. We have to do our own efforts. And in addition to that, I think what has been a drawback of I&I people. For various reasons, we can talk about the reasons why, Willie Lynch, we can talk about a whole heap of things. But our lack of unity around certain causes. That is why, you know, when I saw the last images of the reparations march in UK, and I saw the Rasta community, I saw the Kemetic community, I saw a whole heap of different ones coming together around reparation. I was very inspired by that. You know what I mean? And I think we need unity, because even when we were dealing with the Pinnacle situation in Jamaica, I saw that as a very small subset of the greater struggle that we're fighting as Rasta to have a place within the world scene. You know, it was very difficult to come under one accord and speak to the government. Even within the meetings that were had with Portia Simpson and the government, there was division in the room amongst I and I. And you have ones said them representing Millennium Council, and one said them representing this and Leonard Howell Foundation and things like that, and we're not, you know, able to come to an agreement even amongst ourselves. And we have to wonder if this division, if people are even being paid to keep us divided within our own organizations. You know what I mean? So, you know, I think we as musicians have a lot to contribute, or should contribute a lot towards the unification of Rastafari. Rastafari are diverse people with diverse mindsets, but at the end of the day, the principles of Rastafari are one and the same, and we need to unify amongst ourselves, have our own organizations that are very wide-ranged, but around a unity of direction, and come up with a long-term plan and strategy towards our self-sustained development.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so yeah, I think we did, we have one last question. Oh yeah, well, okay, or see if we squeeze in two if we can.
Greetings. Thank you for the experience. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man.
You hear me?
Close.
Yeah. Greetings, everyone. My question is regarding artists' responsibility. We obviously live in a day and age where things are crazy beyond belief, and my question is regarding your ability to reach millions of people worldwide. Will you be able to start speaking on specific issues to raise awareness for lots of the situations that are happening in the world? For example, the occupation of Palestine, drone warfare in Pakistan and Libya, intervention and white supremacy. Will you be able to open the minds of many people through your lyrics in the future, and what extent do you think this falls on you as a responsibility?
Yeah, man, it's our responsibility. You know, if you observe it and it affects you and you feel aware about it, I think that's the requirement for, you know, what you choose to sing about. So, you know, events that are closest to my heart, like the events that I see taking place in Jamaica and, you know, within Africa, those are very close to my heart, you know what I mean? And certain events within even the United States, as someone who used to live there. So I speak about those things. You know what I mean? Primarily, I have songs just speaking about political issues only. If you listen to Well Done, if you listen As the Keys Play, that speaks about, you know, Israel, Palestine, you know, Nigeria, Boko Haram, all of these issues, as well as bleaching and stuff like that in Jamaica. So we definitely have the platform and we have to utilize it. You know, I think, you know, we are all doing it. Koro, Fyah, Runkus, you know, all of us are doing it in our own way. Right. And maybe we need to broaden our awareness of things that's happening over in the Middle East and other sections of the world. And the more we can do that is the more we have the freedom to sing about it.
You see, Baka, and one, bless, give thanks for the question too. You see, we are doing it right now. We are singing about all these situations right now, even before they happen. When we say government say them are govern, it's true, them take every dime and them take every nickel. It don't make no sense and them stubborn. This is going on right here, right now. And we don't have to say this government is doing it. We don't have to call names. We don't have to, when we sing, when Kabaka says worldwide love, that can be chanted at any single any form of parade, any form of oppression, and we can be chanted against anywhere, against the Black Lives Matter, for the Black Lives Matter, for the All Lives Matter, for the ones in Tivoli Gardens, for the ones in Turkey right now and the militia. It is, we are a part of the world community, Mama Earth. So we sing, everything that we do is for her as well. So when we sing about the trees and sing about love, it's the same love that we go tell you to put down the guns with. Understand? We can tell you to put down the guns without saying the words put down the guns. Right? Because when we say love, you can't love with guns in your hands.
Yeah.
When we say love, you can't love with the knife at someone's back. When we say love, you can't love while rubbing your face. You know, when we say love, you cannot love while making another society feel like, or making another set of people feel less than what they are. We as black people haven't been taught. I grew up in a school where the first thing I learned in history is European history.
That's
the first thing I learned in Jamaican high schools is European history. Imagine if the first, and the best school in Jamaica, by the way, and that is fine. We must learn about the world. We must be one with the world, but first teach us about ourselves. They taught me that atom is the creation of the world, the molecule atom. I read and saw that atom is the creator God in Egypt. They taught me that I must say amen at the end of my prayers to agree with the Lord. True. Amen. But I also look and saw that Amun is the agreement with them all. Amun Ra. See? But this is what we sing about. And all of that is teaching everyone, and teaching everyone especially knowledge of self. Kabaka said it earlier, you have to question things. You have to question things. If I tell you that the water blue, you're going to just believe me? Can't just believe, you have to look at yourself, but.
You know, Runkus, to add to that too, the end result as well from the music is economic upliftment, you know what I mean? So we intend to use whatever success, you know, economically, you know, in whatever way to help people on the ground in different communities, you know what I mean? So as much as the songs sing about specific things or it doesn't, we intend to do specific things on the ground for people. As we say, we're a part of a group called the Rastafari Youth Initiative Council. You know, we help to remodel houses for old people. We're a part of, you know, just different community projects with individual youths, you know what I mean, to uplift them. So, you know, come on.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody, for this wonderful session. Another round of applause for everybody sitting on the panel.